Tom, Aaron, and Lucy had been planning a proper wild camping trip for months. All three lived in Sheffield, and every year they would do one big adventure. Usually it was Snowdonia or the Peak District, nothing extreme. But that year, Tom wanted something real. He kept saying the Highlands were calling him. Lucy wasn't keen. She hated isolation, but Aaron convinced her. They finally picked a spot, a forgotten stretch of moorland near Clunes Forest, miles away from any bothy, any campsite, any human trail. A place where, according to an old Reddit post, someone had heard night patrol footsteps at 3 a.m. Tom laughed it off. Lucy didn't. They parked the car near an old forestry track and began hiking. At first, it was peaceful. Heather fields, pine scent, no phone signal. But 2 hours in, Lucy noticed the silence. Not peaceful silence, unnatural silence. No birds, no wind, no insects, just nothing. Tom joked, maybe the wildlife here has a day off. But Aaron muttered, or maybe they're listening to something we can't hear. The sun dipped behind a gray sky. They set camp near a small burn, stream, far from trees, because Tom said it was safer. Lucy said it felt exposed. They argued. Normal camping tension. Nobody knew this was the last normal moment. By late evening, they ate, laughed, and zipped into their tents. Lucy tried to sleep but heard something faint. A whistle. Not a bird. Too long, too deliberate. One steady note. Then another. Perfectly spaced. She sat up, called out quietly, "Tom? Aaron?" No answer. The whistle repeated, closer this time. 3 notes. Slow. Intentional. She unzipped her tent and froze. Tom was already outside, torch in hand. "You heard it too?" he asked. Before she could reply, Aaron's voice came shakily from behind them. "It's circling us." All 3 torches pointed around. Nothing. But the whistle continued, always from a new direction. Not echo. Movement. Aaron whispered, "It's like someone's walking in a circle around camp." Eventually the whistling stopped. They went back inside their tents and forced themselves to sleep. But at dawn, Lucy stepped outside and gasped. Around their camp, perfectly clear in the damp soil, were footprints. Human footsteps. Bare feet. Large. White. As if someone had walked around their tents many, many times. Aaron panicked. "We should go. Pack up. We're leaving." Tom argued again. He didn't want to lose the adventure. He said the footprints could have been old. But the worst part wasn't the prints. It was the depth. Whoever made them had put weight into the ground, as if they were leaning down, watching the tents. Lucy was shaking. "We're not alone out here." They agreed to stay one more night, but move camp further uphill. Higher ground felt safer. More visibility. By dusk, fog rolled in. Thick, heavy. Aaron said it felt like wet cotton pressing against his face. They sat around, trying to distract themselves, when the whistling started again. But this time it wasn't circling. It was moving in a straight line from far away toward them. No rhythm now, just short, sharp bursts. A signal, a warning, a call. Aaron whispered, "That's not a bird. That's someone. They're calling to someone else." Then they heard the footsteps. Not human footsteps. Heavier, slow, dragging, like something tall and tired, but still walking. Every crunch of heather made the ground tremble slightly. Lucy covered her ears. Tom stood frozen, torch shaking. The footsteps stopped right behind Tom. He spun the light around. Nothing, just fog. Then the whistle shrieked, right beside their ears. They ran inside the tents and zipped them shut. Nobody slept. 3:12 a.m. Aaron whispered tremulously, "Guys, someone's outside my tent." They held their breath. Then Lucy heard it too, breathing, slow, bit, heavy. Then a sound like a finger running across the tent fabric, tracing shapes, circles, lines. Tom hissed, "Don't make a sound. Don't move." The breathing shifted toward Lucy, then toward Tom, then back toward Aaron, like someone was checking each tent, studying them. Then it stopped. No footsteps, no whistle, just silence. But none of them dared move until sunlight returned. In the morning, Aaron's rucksack was gone. Not dragged, lifted and taken. All that remained was a single footprint. Huge, deep. Tom tried to rationalize. Maybe someone's messing with us. Lucy snapped. We're 30 miles from the nearest village. They decided to pack immediately, but the fog had thickened and visibility was barely a few feet. Still, they walked. After 2 hours of walking, they found a narrow dirt track. Aaron checked the map. There's no path here, at all. But Tom insisted following it was safer than wandering in the mist. The track was strangely straight, too straight, like an old patrol route. Lucy whispered, "What if this is where the footsteps come from?" They walked silently. Every few minutes they heard far-off whistling. Sometimes one note, sometimes two, sometimes an answer from somewhere else in the fog. Signals. The path ended at a collapsed stone structure, maybe an old shepherd's hut or military lookout post. Walls broken, roof caved in. Tom stepped inside. Lucy and Aaron stayed outside. Tom called out, "Guys, come look at this." Carved into the stone walls were dozens of marks. Tall lines, small lines, 3 lines together. Groups of 5, like tally marks, thousands of them. Lucy whispered, "What was kept here, or what was counting?" Then Aaron noticed the floor, a deep groove worn into the stone, forming a circle, like something walked the same loop inside this hut, over and over, for years. Patrol, endless, mindless, trapped. Lucy suddenly gasped, "Guys, this circle. It's the same distance that the footsteps took around our tents." The fog behind them shifted. Something moved, tall, thin, watching. Aaron screamed, "Run!" They sprinted down the path, but the footsteps behind them were faster, heavier, closer. The whistling erupted from all sides. High, low, short, long. Hundreds of signals at once. Like the whole moorland had woken up. Lucy fell. Tom grabbed her arm. Aaron looked behind them and froze. He saw a shape emerging from the fog. Tall, skin gray and stretched, arms too long, face wrong, eyes hollow, mouth wide. It stepped forward, dragging one foot, and exhaled a wet, rattling breath. Aaron shouted, "It's following the patrol path. Don't step on the path." They leapt off the dirt track into the heather. The creature roared, a guttural, broken sound, and continued walking the straight path, like it couldn't leave it, bound to routine, bound to its loop, bound to its patrol. They kept running until they finally saw the parked car, blurry through the fog, but still there. They jumped in. Tom sped away. The whistling followed them for miles. Only once they reached Fort William did they calm down enough to speak. But Aaron never did. A week later, he vanished, left home at night, didn't tell anyone where he was going. His phone was later found near Clunes Forest. Authorities said he probably went hiking alone. But Tom and Lucy knew the truth. Aaron heard the whistling again, and he followed it. Ellie, Haroon, Joel, and Sophie planned a reunion camping trip in the Lake District after 5 years apart. They chose a remote, quiet valley near Wasdale Head. No official campsite, just open land and a stream. They reached the spot by late afternoon, set up 4 tents, a small fire, laughs after ages. Everything felt normal, perfect actually, until Sophie looked across the field and saw something odd. The 5th tent, old, faded brown, half collapsed, no one in sight. She blinked and said, "Guys, was that there before?" Everyone said no. They checked it from a distance. It looked decades old, canvas torn, ropes frayed, maybe left behind by hikers. Nobody cared much. They slept. At 2:41 a.m., Ellie woke to the sound of zipping. Not her own tent, someone else's. Fast, then slow, then another. Zipping, unzipping, a zipping again. She called out softly, "Joel, is that you?" No answer. Then she heard footsteps in grass. Slow, dragging, passing beside her tent. The zipped noise returned, this time directly behind her. Then a faint whisper, "Not this one." She froze, pretended to be asleep. After 30 seconds of silence, she finally dared unzip her tent and peek outside. Nothing, but the old 5th tent was now standing upright, fully pitched, ropes tight, as if someone had just set it up. In the morning, Ellie told everyone, but they laughed. Maybe she dreamt it, but Sophie gasped suddenly. "Guys, look at the ground. Footprints, hundreds of them.
Bora.
Deep, leading in circles around all 4 tents, but stopping right in front of the old 5th tent, as if whoever walked all night had returned inside." Haroon suggested they check inside it. Ellie refused, but Joel lifted the flap. There was nothing, no bag, no bedding, no gear, just an old canvas smell. But the dirt inside the tent was disturbed, as if something large had been lying there. Joel said they should pack up and move. They all agreed. They hiked 2 miles away to a new spot. They set up camp again. This time only 3 tents. They shared for safety. As the sun set, everything seemed fine. Until Sophie pointed again. "Guys, no way. No way, look." In the distance, barely visible through the grass. A new tent. Not the old one from before. A different shape. A different color. A 6th tent. No footsteps. No campers. No people. It just existed. Haroon whispered, "It followed us." That night they stayed awake. No one slept. Around 1 a.m., the wind died completely. Every sound stopped. Then the zipping returned. Not from the mystery tent, but from their own. One by one. Zip, zip, zip. A voice whispered outside Sophie's tent. "Open." Another whispered outside Joel's. "Wrong one." Ellie squeezed Haroon's hand as a shadow passed over their tent. Something knelt outside, pressed against the fabric, slowly traced the outline of their bodies inside. Then it stood, walked back toward the 6th tent, entered it. Silence. They didn't move until morning. At sunrise, Joel was missing. His rucksack, his shoes, his jacket, gone. But what made Sophie scream was this. In the grass near the mysterious 6th tent was a new tent, a 7th. And when Haroon opened it, inside was Joel's jacket, neatly folded. But Joel wasn't there. No body, no footprints, no signs of struggle. Just the feeling that Joel had been taken into the wrong tent. They ran, left everything except keys and phones. They never found Joel again, but fishermen later reported seeing, at dusk, on an empty shore, 13 tents, all standing in absolute stillness, and one of them unzipping on its own. Cousins Mike, Rania, and Zaid loved winter camping. They chose a remote location, a valley near Kader Idris with almost no foot traffic in cold months. Mike knew the history of the place and mentioned a local legend about Ranger Gareth Owens, a forest officer who vanished on patrol in 1998. The only thing found was his cracked lantern and drag marks leading into the woods. Rania told him to stop being dramatic, but Zaid, nervous since the drive, whispered, "I heard his lantern still glows some nights." They laughed it off. Small fire.
Warmte.
Good vibes. By 10 p.m., thick fog rolled in. Normal Welsh weather, or so they thought. Mike stepped outside the tent for fresh air around midnight. "Guys, come out seriously." Rania and Zaid stepped out, annoyed, but then they saw it. Far across the valley, in the fog, something glowed. A small moving light, orange, flickering, shaking, like a lantern carried by an unsteady hand. It moved down a hill, paused, then walked along the trail, the old patrol route Gareth Owens used decades ago. Zaid whispered, "No one hikes at night. Who the hell is that?" Mike swallowed hard. Rangers don't patrol this area anymore. Not since he disappeared. The lantern turned sharply, as if whoever carried it had heard them, and began slowly making its way toward their campsite. They ducked into their tents and didn't peek outside. Every few minutes, the lantern glowed brighter through the fabric, then dimmer, then brighter, like someone circling, watching, choosing. Around 3 a.m., the footsteps stopped. Silence returned. They eventually fell asleep. At sunrise, Zaid screamed. Around their tents were heavy boot prints, old-style ranger boots, pressed deep into the frost. But the strangest thing, burn marks in perfect circles, like the lantern had been rested on the ground, directly beside each tent. Rania said they should pack. Mike insisted they were overreacting. They stayed. That night, the lantern returned earlier, 10:45 p.m. Closer, brighter, moving faster. It walked directly down the hillside toward them.
No hesitación. No pause.
Zaid panicked. "It knows we're here." The lantern reached the tree line beside their camp. Stopped, swung side to side, as if searching. Then a voice called out, low, broken, gasping, "Why, you lost!" Rania nearly fainted. Mike whispered, "Don't answer. Don't speak." The lantern moved again, a shadow behind it, tall, broad shoulders, head slightly bent. The figure lifted the lantern, and the glass cracked with a sharp snapping noise, just like the original lantern found in 1998. The figure turned and walked away, back toward the old ranger route. But halfway up the hill, it stopped and faced them. Even though it was far away, they felt its gaze. Rania sobbed, "Why is it watching us?" Mike whispered, "Maybe he's making sure we never leave." At dawn, they stepped outside. The boot prints were back, but now there were drag marks too, leading away from the campsite. Something heavy had been pulled through the frost. A log? An animal? No. Zaid found an object at the start of the drag trail. His own shoe, the one he left inside the tent. It had been pulled out, as if someone tugged him by the foot and almost dragged him away. Zaid broke down. "I'm not staying another night. Done. Finished." They agreed to leave immediately, but the fog was worse. They kept walking in circles. Their GPS failed. Everything felt wrong, like the forest refused to let them go. By late evening, they had no choice but to set camp again. They were exhausted, shaking, hungry. They sat silently, hearing only wind. Then the lantern, closer than ever, just beyond the fog line. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Mike whispered, "It's finishing the patrol." The lantern stopped directly behind Mike's tent. A broken voice whispered, "Why you stay with me?" Rania cried. Zaid prayed. Then the lantern glow shifted, moving downward, as if the figure crouched. A hand pressed against Mike's tent, fingers long, cold, leaving frost on the fabric. The voice hissed, "Lost, lost, don't go." Then the lantern extinguished. Darkness, footsteps dragged away, slow, reluctant. They didn't sleep, didn't speak at a tea sunrise. They hiked non-stop, pushing through the fog until they finally found the main trail. A couple walking their dog helped them reach the nearest car park. When they looked back into the fog one last time, a faint orange glow flickered in the distant trees. Zaid whispered, "He wasn't trying to scare us. He was trying to keep us. Forever." Ranger Gareth Owens was never found. But locals say, if you see a lantern in Snowdonia at night, don't answer the voice behind it. He's still patrolling his last unfinished shift, and he needs replacements.